All right, welcome. Today we're diving deep into one of the most powerful, yet often misunderstood parts of your body, the thyroid gland. You can think of it as your body's engine, or maybe its central thermostat. It really does set the pace for just about everything. So let's get into it.
So let me just ask you this. What single tiny butterfly-shaped gland right there at the base of your neck has a say in your energy, your mood, your weight, even how hot or cold you feel? Well, you've probably figured it out by now. We're talking about the thyroid.
Now, the thyroid doesn't go it alone. Not at all. It's a star player in what's called the endocrine system. This is basically the body's super important messaging network that uses hormones. And unlike, say, your nervous system, which sends lightning-fast signals, the endocrine system plays the long game. Its effects are slower, but they stick around for hours or even days. Okay, so let's zoom in on the gland that really runs the show. If you think of the whole endocrine system as an orchestra, the thyroid is the conductor, tapping its baton and setting the tempo for your entire metabolism. And its job is, well, it's huge. It's in charge of your metabolism. That's the rate you burn fuel. But it also controls how fast your heart beats, it manages your internal body temperature, and it has a massive impact on your brain and your mood. At the end of the day, it's all about energy management.
So what happens when that engine starts redlining, running way, way too fast? Well, that brings us to our first problem, hyperthyroidism. This is when your body's systems get kicked into a frantic overdrive.
To put it simply, hyperthyroidism just means your thyroid is making way too much hormone. It's flooding your system, and that sends your whole body into what we call hypermetabolism. Everything speeds up, and you start burning through energy and resources like there's no tomorrow. So what does that feel like? Well, imagine your body is stuck in fifth gear. You might feel your heart just racing, pounding away. You're losing weight, even though you feel like you're eating constantly. You've got this restless, nervous energy. Maybe your hands are a little shaky, and you're always hot, sweating when everyone else feels fine. It can even lead to this really distinct sign where the eyes appear to bulge out, which is called exophthalmos. So what's behind all this? Well, the number one cause is an autoimmune disorder you might have heard of, Graves' disease. What's happening is the body's own defense system gets its wires crossed. Instead of fighting off germs, it creates these rogue antibodies that basically put the pedal to the metal on the thyroid, telling it to just go, 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 with no off switch. All right, now let's flip the coin and look at the total opposite problem. What happens when the engine is sputtering, running out of gas, and just stalling out? This is hypothyroidism. It's when your body's furnace is barely lit. And really, it's a tale of two complete extremes. On one side, hyperthyroidism, fast metabolism, weight loss, fast heart rate, can't stand the heat. But on the other side, hypothyroidism. Everything just slows down. Your metabolism tanks, leading to weight gain, your heart rate slows, you feel tired and sluggish all the time, and you're always cold. The official definition here is pretty much the mirror image of what we just talked about. Your thyroid gland is underactive. It's just not making enough hormone to keep things running. And the result is this system-wide slowdown that affects pretty much everything.
And you guessed it. The most common reason for this is also an autoimmune problem. This one is called Hashimoto's disease. But instead of stimulating the thyroid like in Graves', the immune system here goes on the attack, gradually destroying the thyroid tissue itself, crippling its ability to make hormones. Okay, so you have these two conditions that are polar opposites. How in the world do doctors figure out what's really going on? How do they, pop the hood and see if the engine's running too hot or stalling out? Well, the answer is in your blood. A simple blood test tells the whole story. Doctors are looking at the levels of two absolutely critical hormones, TSH and T4. And to understand this, you have to get this really cool feedback loop. So TSH comes from the pituitary gland up in your brain, and it's the go signal. It's basically yelling at your thyroid to make hormones. T4 is the actual hormone the thyroid makes in response. So think about it. In hyperthyroidism, your thyroid is already making way too much T4 on its own, so the brain just whispers, the TSH is low. But in hypothyroidism, the thyroid isn't making enough T4, so the brain starts yelling louder and louder and louder to get a response. That's why the TSH is high.
It's this beautiful inverse relationship. So once the problem is identified, the goal is pretty clear. Get things back into balance. The whole point of treatment is to restore the body's engine to its normal, steady, comfortable pace. Now, for that overactive, racing engine, doctors have three main ways to slow it down. They can start with antithyroid medications that block the gland from making so much hormone. If that doesn't do the trick, they might use a dose of radioactive iodine, which specifically targets and damages those overactive thyroid cells. And finally, if needed, there's surgery to just remove the gland. For the stalling engine, the fix is actually much more straightforward. If your body isn't making enough thyroid hormone, well, you just give it back. It comes in the form of a daily pill, and it's usually a lifelong therapy that keeps that engine humming along just right. But, and this is a big but, for that treatment to work, timing is absolutely everything. The standard drug, levothyroxine, has to be taken on a totally empty stomach. That 30 minutes before food instruction isn't just a suggestion. It's because food and other meds can get in the way and stop it from being absorbed properly. It's a small detail that makes a huge difference. All right, so just when you think you've got the thyroid all figured out, there's a little twist. Because tucked right behind the thyroid are these four tiny but incredibly important neighbors, the parathyroid glands. Now, these little guys have a completely separate job. They are your body's calcium regulators. They produce something called parathyroid hormone, or PTH, and its whole mission in life is to keep the amount of calcium in your blood in a super narrow, perfect range. And when things go wrong here, it is all about calcium. Too much hormone, and your body starts pulling calcium out of your bones, which can lead to bone loss and kidney stones. Too little hormone, and your blood calcium plummets, causing things like muscle spasms and severe cramping. It's yet another delicate balancing act. So as you can see, from setting your body's master speed control to fine-tuning something as specific as calcium, your endocrine system is this incredible, delicate dance of signals and hormones. It really makes you think, in our busy, demanding lives, what are the things that help you keep your own system in tune?